Hi everybody, it's Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's MTPredictor video, I'd like to look at trading the USE minis on the shorter term charts, but this time using the 24-hour chart rather than the day session only chart. But before we get into the details, we have to look at our risk disclaimer and remind you that all examples in these videos should be considered as hypothetical. No trades are actually taken, they're just shown for illustration and training purposes only. Remind you there's a risk of loss in trading and investing. Put another way, all professional traders know and understand, but more importantly accept that losses can and will and do unfold. No matter what trading approach you do, there always will be losing trades. Right, most of our examples we look at using the day session only, and the day session only is, if I look at our trading hours, is the regular trading hour, the RTH, or the regular trading hours, which is from 8:30 to 3:15 Central Time, or 9:30 to 4:15 New York time. That's when most of the volume comes in. But I'm sometimes asked, can you do trading outside of that? In other words, using a 24-hour chart. So the answer to that is yes. So let's have a look at an example. Here's a 24-hour chart of the ES. So this is on the 24-hour session, and I want to have a look what's just unfolded here this morning. Now remember, with MTPredictor we use our multi-time frame approach because we know that markets go in cycles. We don't want to trade markets all the time because half the time they're basically random and you can't discern the pattern. So of course the question is, how can you decide when the market is in a clear pattern? Well, for this we use our higher time frame DP. So I'm just going to jump back a bit to about here somewhere, and if I scroll out you can see that there was a nice major pivot here back on this point here which I'm circling. So if I right mouse click here, do decision point, can you see how it gives you an area of resistance? But that resistance is on the chart in advance. It's before the market even gets there. So if I now turn trading mode off, you can see what's happened in the last couple of hours is that the ES has gone up. It's gone right up into that major resistance area. You can see, caught that perfectly before the market started to decline. In other words, you're anticipating in advance this potential resistance area before the market even got there. So now if you come down to a shorter time frame chart, let's see if we get a clearer picture. You can see here the market is reversing at our 15-minute resistance, which is absolutely great. The market therefore deemed to have turned down because the market was making a reversal at the level that we anticipate. In other words, the picture started to become clear. In other words, the market's doing what we anticipated. After that, the market is deemed to have been in a downtrend because we're coming down off this resistance. Our MTP trend is grey, so it's in the process of making a reversal. We then have a corrective rally up into a TS1, W3 or Wave 3 trade setup. If I right mouse click, do analysis on the red cell bar, that gives us a potential trade setup. Remember, we use correct position sizing to keep our initial risk small under control. So when we have losing trades, and we will always have losing trades, the loss is kept small at -1R or 1 risk unit. In this case, the market went down to our initial target, which would have been our typical Wave 3 WPT, where a profit of approximately 4 times the initial risk was available. So this was a nice little trade here that was in the direction of the larger degree trend, because the larger degree trend was coming off this 15-minute resistance here, and our larger degree trend was down. There's also a TS3 sell set up here a bit later that also made its first target for a nice 3.8-hour profit. But the main one I wanted to look at today was this TS1 W3 or Wave 3 trade setup here. We call it a W3 because what we're aiming to do is trade the Wave 3, which is normally the strongest and longest in the completed 5-wave sequence. So if I right mouse click down here, you can see what we're trying to do is catch the end of the Wave 2 correction to then trade the Wave 3. So that was a nice example of a MTPredictor trade setup, but using the 24-hour chart of the ES, where we were anticipating a potential resistance area on our 15-minute chart. Remember, if I go back to the 15-minute chart, we had that area on our chart in advance from our previous pivot high here. The market went up into that level and then reversed before declining nicely. We went down to the time frame that we were trading on, or looking to uncover your trades on, and then we're taking trades that were in the direction of that large degree trend. And as you can see, that caught the high nicely. This wasn't isolated because if I go to the NQ and I do the 15-minute chart of the NQ, sorry, oops, I want to do the 24-hour chart, sorry. So if I change that to the 24-hour chart of the NQ, and I go out to the 15-minute chart, you can see that's exactly what we had here. There's the previous high, there's the DP that caught the high perfectly, and actually on the NQ there was actually a VS or volume spike sell here a little bit earlier that also gave you a nice trade setup there as well, catching the reversal at that 15-minute resistance. If I look at the YM, the YM was doing exactly the same. There it is, there's the 15-minute resistance on the 3-minute chart. So as you can see, all three USE minis were coming into 15-minute resistance at that time, and therefore giving you a large degree downtrend, where actually we had a nice VS sell at that resistance on the NQ, and also the trade setup we were looking at earlier in the video, which is our W3 trade setup on the short side for the ES. So good example of using the 24-hour chart to uncover some trade setups on the USE minis using 3 and 15-minute time frames.